Right, Seaman, step forward, out, Dwight steps forward and gets stuck, then Lambert, then Icon is just dead, and Cyprant is also taking incredible damage. This is the trap maze. It is horrible. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Spiffing Brit, and today we're playing the fantastic game of Going Medieval. Now, this is an early access game all about leading a ragtag band of medieval peasants in their quest to try and survive a post-apocalyptic world. Now, this game is very similar to Rimworld, including the fact that it has cannibalism, as well as random AI villagers who are going to absolutely break your mind by making completely and utterly stupid decisions. But today we're going to be playing the game in a completely different way by building a perfect society. As you see, our society shall exist behind a gigantic maze of spikes. That's right, as this gigantic wonderful death maze should allow us to survive any incoming raiders, because we will have no walls, no gates, people can just waltz into our lovely village. However, in order to get to its center, they must go through the gigantic maze of death. Anyway, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're sat back, relaxed, you have a nice warm cup of tea in hand, and if you're feeling especially fantastic, you can even like this video. Now, without further ado, let's dive into a brand new game. Now we're going to be playing on standard, normal mode. You can play on very easy, but the game just becomes a walk in the park, and if you play on very hard, well, you're just going to get a trebuchet every 5 seconds, and yeah, trebuchets ain't fun. Now, the game has a few default little starting situations. You can get a new life the nice default way, a lone wolf a little bit more challenging, you're just by yourself, or my personal favourite custom scenario, Warcrime Wonderland. Welcome to Warcrime Wonderland. It's a fantastic start, which gives you a whole bunch of mechanical components and sticks, as well as a decent bit of wood, and some fine longbowmans. This setup is going to allow us to build the ultimate trap maze of death, which is going to give us incredible power, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, let's dive into our brand new world. Oh, and yes, we actually need to create our settlement. Now, we're going to build it in the lovely valley because that will give us access to more trees. And at the same time, we need a name for our lovely maze of death. Now, the thing is, our entire settlement is going to be a death trap. Anywhere you step, you might not know whether you're actually falling into a pitfall trap or maybe a gigantic swinging log that's going to take your head off. There's just no way of knowing. However, we still want people to visit. Consequently, we're going to be calling it Dosneyland because we want people to come visit the wonderful world of Dosneyland. Now we actually just need to come up with a logo as well, and I think I have a perfect idea. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've created the perfect flag for Dosneyland. I'm calling it the Phallicus flag because I just love how creative you can get with the heraldry system in this game. It's incredible. You can just move everything around. So I've crafted the beautiful Purnus that will not just represent the mighty battle wang, but also it should intimidate all of our enemies as well as stop people from stealing any of our flags, because why would you want to steal a flag with a gigantic Purnus on it? Anyway, let's dive into this wonderful world. Otter here is like a huge giant at 182 centimeters, and then we just have Nigel here who's only 100 centimeters tall. He's 1 meter tall. And fully renamed, this is going to be our entire squad for the setup, of course led by the legendary Big Dave. Combined, they're going to be incredibly powerful. Now, without further ado, let's throw ourselves into this wonderful world. Warcrime Wonderland. War crimes ahoy! Artie Game is confident, defiant even. We will make this work. We will take our share of land, we will build there, and we will defend it. Many have tried, some have fallen, beset by bandits, defeated by drought, yet many have also prevailed. Yes, have faith, we're going to do it! After many travails, they've arrived in a valley with golden plains, cut through by a snaking river. For Craig, it conjured visions of a bountiful harvest, songs and wine, a place to put down roots, a homeland. They decided to title it Dosneyland. Perfect. War crimes are ahoy. So welcome to our lovely setup. This is going to be home for the next while. It's basically just set slap bang in the middle of a valley forest. Now, we might not be able to survive for too long, but we have one very important setup, and that is to build a nice basic base and then surround the base with these incredible metal traps, or alternatively wooden traps. Either one works. Or heck, if we're feeling a bit cheap, we can go for stick traps. Now, before we make our maze of death, we do actually need to create a house for our lovely friends. So the first building we'll make will just be a very basic barracksy building. Right, so I've laid down the foundations for our first starting house, and then I've surrounded it all with one gigantic wooden wall. This entire area here is going to be the core setup of our entire base. And then our main focus is going to be trying to lure people into this base via a maze of very spooky little traps. Now, we're going to need a lot of wood for all of this, so I'm going to designate a huge quantity of trees all around us just to be chopped on out. There we go. We just want to get rid of all of those lovely trees. Fantastic stuff. Alright, now the setup's going quite well. We've started construction on all of this lovely stuff here. We're going to allow all of these items here so that our people actually have some food to eat. And we might as well also allow all of this random stuff lying on the ground, as at the end of the day it's basically just free resources. Oh, now what's this? Oh, it's a herb bush. Nice. Now already our lovely little work's doing a fantastic job setting up the core area of our base, and we don't really have to worry about immediately getting rushed by invaders, but it will happen sooner or later, so it's best that we're prepared for it. As soon as we finished off this house, we'll start laying down the amazing foundations necessary to create the Maze of Death. Now, early game food is relatively easy to come by. There are berry bushes everywhere, and berry bushes are very much overpowered. Like, if you're looking at food sources in this game, and you think, oh yes, I'll grow some cabbages, or you're an absolute maniac, because berry bushes just work. They provide insane quantities of food as well as sticks, and they pretty much work in every single environment, making them the most powerful food source in the game. Truly perfectly balanced. And I think by the time we're finished with this setup, there's going to basically be no trees left on the map, as my goodness, we are doing an incredible amount of damage. But all of it is necessary. Right, now my settlers are exhausted, so they're going to be going to sleep for their first night tonight, and whilst the house I don't think is fully finished, actually it might be. Let's go turn the roof on and go take a look at it. Yep, our first house is almost finished. There's a slight gap in the roof, but for the most part we've actually built a lovely setup. And fantastic, we've now unlocked the research panel and we can actually get to work researching things. Now, we start off the game with defensive structures and defensive structures too being researched, but ideally we want to rush to agriculture as soon as possible so that we can start growing our own source of wood, as well as also our own berry bushes, because just like in Age of Empires 2, berry bushes, dear lord, they be powerful boys. Now, with all of this wood basically just being dumped off outside of our base, it's time for us to start actually constructing stuff. So we're going to start actually making ourselves the maze. Now, the maze is going to be effectively a gigantic nightmare snake trap of death. We shall start it like so, by going out this way, then cutting up this way, and then just going all the way along down here so that we can go down like so, and then along the side of the base, and then up the side of the base a bit. Yep, you can start seeing where this is going. Just a nightmarish trap of death. Now, this current maze run that we've got here is relatively decent. It's not 100% fantastic, but it is relatively solid. It is quite long, and that's very important for us because that means we're going to be able to place down a lot of traps. Now, traps are actually really good value for money in this game. In Rimworld, every time a trap is activated, you kind of have to replace it again. But not in this game. No, 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 no. When a trap has been placed, it can be rearmed, and rearming it is cheap as chips. So naturally, we're going to start spamming down wooden traps all the way from this entrance onwards. Now, the only issue is the game doesn't really want you to spam down traps, and so consequently, I'm just going to use my auto clicker and drag along, because otherwise the game doesn't really like you building multiple traps. It really was only designed for you to place maybe like 5 or 6 traps down around outside your base, rather than, you know, all of this. Now, of course, the biggest issue with this setup is that it now makes it a nightmare to get in and out of our base, which is a challenge. And for the time being, we still do actually need to go inside and outside of our base. So because no one's actually attacking us, we're going to simply deconstruct 2 little bits of the wall here on either side, allowing us a nice easy way to get in and out. Now, all of our lovely settlers are now going to sleep for their first night, and whilst they're not necessarily the happiest tools in the shed, they'll be fine eventually. You know, they're just getting started laying down the first few traps, and it's going to be very exciting when they all get triggered. Alright, now we are of course going to have to install the legendary backgammon table, which every society needs, as well as a nice few shrines, just so that everyone gets their little religious fix. There we go, perfect. Now that should stop all of our fantastic settlers from complaining that I've been neglecting them. And honestly, Trap Maze is starting to look quite good, you know, it's a nice small little simple base, but it is going to grow and become even more powerful. Now, we will have to, of course, adapt to the raids as and when they come, because we don't exactly know what kind of assaults are going to be hitting our base. I think one thing to be prepared is the fact that we're going to maybe need to use archers to actually soften up people going into the trap maze, and so I'm going to build up this little staircase here so that we can have people run around on top of the walls. The only downside is I didn't realise, but only one of our actual members can wield a bow. Everyone else is unable to actually use the bows and arrows we've provided because I accidentally got slightly too powerful longbowmen instead of, you know, baby's first longbow. Now, pro tip to bug out the AI won't actually really bring siege weapons if they have a direct line to your colonist beds. However, you want to keep your colonist beds behind doors, otherwise, your colonists are going to be upset that they're sleeping outside every night. However, an exception can be made. Simply put a sleeping spot outside, near the stockpiles of your base, and just make sure no one sleeps in it. It is as simple as that, but because it counts as a place where your colonists are going to sleep, all raiders will just beeline their way straight to this bed and try and destroy it. Bam, I've jumped into the midpoint of the video to give you a wonderful offer. That's right, an all expenses paid trip to Disneyland. All you need to do is like the video and arrive at the entrance of Disneyland, then simply walk through this weird snaky corridor where I 100% promise you will not be immediately murdered and have all of your goods and resources stolen. So make sure to like the video for your one free entrance to Disneyland today. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Disneyland. As you can see, we've built this fantastic trench all the way around the outside of our base. This trench is amazing because it does one very simple thing. It means even if the enemies do bring trebuchets into the map and try and hit a portion of the side of our wall, it will do absolutely nothing because there will be a trench in the way stopping them from scaling inside, meaning all enemies will always have to go through the trap maze of death. It's fantastic. It's completely perfectly balanced and it is 100% abusing the pathfinding AI. But at the end of the day, as the wise Todd Howard once said, it just works. Now, some of you might have actually been to Disneyland before, and you'll tell me that you've never seen the 100 floor spikes, and that's simply because they're all hidden at the entrance, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as you complain about spending £200 on a single bottle of water, that spike will immediately rise up out of the ground and then suck you back in. That's why you never see anyone complaining in Disneyland. Oh my goodness, we have far too many berries at this point. Now, scientists might say that a human being can't sustain themselves by eating just berries for months on end, and to those so-called smarty pants I say, well, how have I managed to survive on my diet, comprised of just tea leaves for the last 400 years, and I turned out fine science? Honestly, I think it's kind of unfair giving European people all of these games about medieval warfare. Seriously, don't developers know how many times we fought the French? At this point, basically every single English child is just built with the innate knowledge of how to man a trebuchet. Ah yes, Timmy, today we shall be teaching you all of the fine studies of mathematics, English, Latin, and of course, most importantly, learning how to launch a 90-kilogram stone projectile over 300 meters. You know what, as the seasons are starting to change, it's naturally time for us to have a discount. That's right. It's now 50% off all medieval torture devices down at Disneyland, whilst of course stocks last. You know, we're going to name this colonist after my favourite medieval spy, ladies and gentlemen. It is, of course, going to be none other than the legendary Surveillance. I know. Okay, right, you can pat me on the back. I'm somewhat of an expert when it comes to puns, ladies and gentlemen. For example, when does a medieval soldier go to sleep? Nighttime! Oh, God. No, I've decided to call one of my colonists Lance, because you see, Lance is such an uncommon name nowadays, but in medieval times, people were called Lance a lot. Okay, that one is the worst. That is actually terrible. Oh my goodness. Okay, now some time has passed since you last joined us, and we've made some fantastic progress. As you can see, we've expanded the base a bit. We're now up to 3 stories. We've actually started production of alcoholic beverages, if you can believe it. And I've even dug really deep into the ground to build an underground food store from trying to stop our food from rotting slightly too quickly outside. But of course, we're having to go down even deeper to the bottom layer of the map just to try and get the coldest room possible. Now, we are successfully managing to preserve all of our various meats, which is lovely, as preserved meats are going to last for about the next 2 years, which is, you know, pretty decent indeed. At the same time, we're going to start pickling vegetables, because I imagine pickled beetroot's going to last for about a millennia as well, so we should be set for life. At the same time, we've actually managed to start gathering up just a little bit more wood, meaning I can finally start building yet more wooden traps. I know. Time is now, my friends. More wooden traps. There we go, perfect, look at that, all of these wonderful traps deployed. You know what, I actually want to count just how many traps I have. So I've done the maths, and in total there are 232 wooden traps now laid out in this region, which is truly fantastic. We've also been growing our own wood here, because, you know, we needed more wood. It became a huge issue, you know, because these wooden traps, they take a lot of resources. Or the wood we're using, that's a lot of resources. There's not exactly an endless quantity of trees on the map, although we are going to actually be stealing the remaining quantity of trees. There we go, they shall all be mine. Now, we've got this gigantic food store underground now, but we also have a nice little dining room set up next to the food store, just for efficient eating purposes. I've also built this nice little airlock region so that it's harder to get to the food stores, and we keep the temperature down, which is fantastic. And we're building an even deeper food store just because this one will be even colder, so that just in case summer lasts slightly too long, which I don't think it will, we can keep our food fresh for basically the rest of the known universe. Oh no, everyone for some reason runs up here and starts their day by just taking a gigantic swig of all this rough wine we have. And I guess that partially satisfies their alcoholic requirement, although apparently it's not enough. Apparently these raging alcoholics need more booze than I can actually cook up. Alright, well if that's the case, the entire top floor of this house is just going to become brewing stations for our raging alcoholics. Now the things we spawned into this map with a gigantic quantity of mechanical components, and we have actually reached the stage of the research tree where we can make our own mechanical components via blacksmithing. I'm pretty sure they just require a basic quantity of iron, which actually isn't that bad at all, because iron is exceedingly easy to find, especially when you're just glitching your way through the terrain of the map like so, until you find all of the lovely iron deposits. Oh look, we found a hidden underground iron deposit. It really is as easy as that. Ah, fantastic news, ladies and gentlemen. Mindless assassins have heard about the wonders of Dosneyland and they want to come here to fight for us. They're beyond reason, so naturally we're going to fight them. There are apparently 3 adept forest bandit archers and then 3 forest bandits, and they have just all arrived immediately. Oh, this is splendid. Well, you know what that means? It means we have to immediately deconstruct our lovely clay walls and get everyone back inside as soon as possible. Right, we must deconstruct everything and then we are once again going to be safe. Alright, splendid. We've severed ourselves from the outside world and now they'll probably send their raid our way. But it's okay, you know, we're sat inside our base. We've got our food stores for as long as we could possibly need, and we even have 3 archers now. That's right, we can even defend ourselves ever so slightly from them. Now, there is actually an exploit that you can do against the AI in this game, which is quite fun. If you can basically predict the areas where the raiders will attack you from, you can basically hollow out all of the ground in the area and they'll spawn in trapped in the ground, unable to attack you, which is very, very good and cheesy, but of course slightly illegal. Anyway, we're running everyone back inside of our base. Anchovies, you need to run back now, please. Please run back. Don't get stuck in the trap base and fall asleep. Right, now the AI is struggling to pathfind towards us, but it is starting to kick into life now. Here we go. Okay. The AI in this game really does struggle to pathfind, but then again, pathfinding is insanely difficult. Right, we're just gonna have her stand there and be bait, I guess. Meanwhile, I should probably actually wake everyone else up now that I think about it. So, Shooty Susan, you're drafted. Come stand up on top of this wall. RT Games also drafted. Come stand up on top of this wall. Big Dave, you're also drafted. Come stand up on top of this wall. Oh, and it has begun already. Teofik here is down to basically no health, and he is about to die. Oh, meanwhile, I've completely forgot that we actually left a gap in our wall there, so run away, get down. Alright, Teofik is dead. Vincent is also about to die. Meanwhile, we're going to send our archers over here to attack their archers. Now, our archers aren't the best, but they will get the job done, which is all that matters. And there we go, we've killed all of them. Just 2 archers remaining, and they will die. Splendid. Apparently, RT Game took the most damage defending Disneyland in its time of need. Good job, RT. Splendid. Well, we murdered all of them. Lovely stuff. And honestly, basically no losses on our end at all. They didn't really get that far into the trap maze. They sent 3 soldiers into the trap maze, and the archers tried to stand around the side because I left the walls up. And that has kind of resulted in just a large quantity of dead bodies, which is lovely. Anyway, let's get our clay walls added back in so that we can actually exit our base up the side again. Ah, that went absolutely fantastically well. Also, down here, our food just doesn't spoil because of how lovely and cold it is. We can store red currants down here permanently. Look at this stew pile. It shall maintain here indefinitely. Splendid stuff. Even keep the wine down there. Right, well, I guess I just simply have to wait until the next raid comes because, my goodness, this has been a complete and utter walk in the park. But then again, you never know. Maybe as soon as winter hits, we're going to have huge problems. Finally, we've been attacked by yet another wave of bandits. This time we have 7 bandits now coming towards us, which is really good stuff. This will keep us nice and busy. We were a little bit busy out in the fields actually harvesting all of our beetroot. You know, we're really interested in pickling, but no, sadly we have to all come back inside. So yep, everyone will start having to wander back indoors, which is a real shame. Oh, and now they've all decided to begin their attack. Splendid. Right. Now this has to, of course, begin with the quick demolishing of this bit of clay wall, so Lance will do that. And then we need to get all of our farmers out of the field, so in they come. And then finally we'll demolish this clay wall as well. And with that, everyone is back inside the base and we are ready for whatever they throw our way. Now this time we've actually added a door to this little moat section here, so they can no longer shoot through in order to actually do damage. I will need to quickly actually prioritize locking this door, however, so that they don't try and think they can shoot their way through, and they do have to actually, yes, wander around. Perfect. And now we actually open fire, but I mean, we really want to just murder them with arrows? No, I want to actually let some people get inside the trap maze today. So, even though they have some ranged boys, everyone has to go inside the trap maze. Here they come, ladies and gentlemen. First trap goes off with an absolute bang, then the next one, lovely, so all 3 traps are fired. Right, Seaman, step forward, out, Dwight steps forward and gets stuck, then Lambert, then Icon is just dead, and Cyprant is also taking incredible damage. Lovely stuff. Let's just speed this bad boy up because, you know, they've got quite a few traps to wander through. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look at them try and step through. The best thing is when you actually go underground, you can see all of the traps. They appear like this. This is the trap maze. It is horrible. Now, we did get a run of trap misfires there, but then, of course, one fired and it's all good. Cuthbert here just had, I think, all of his clothes break off. This is splendid stuff, and he's dead. Then Cedric is going to wander forwards. Dwight. Oh my goodness, poor Dwight. Arnold. Oh, Cedric. Oh, this is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic stuff. They're all dead. Splendid, we've won. Lovely stuff. Right, well, I guess we just get everyone up onto the battlements to gain some nice experience for gunning them down. Shooty Susan is here. Shooty Susan, kill them. Kill Dwight. Perfect. Right, well, I think that was a glorious and splendid success. Oh, my goodness. And with that raid defeated, I think it proves just how incredible the amazing trap maze is. No one can actually defeat the trap maze, because the larger raids get, the larger we can just make the maze. It's fantastic. If they bring trebuchets, what are they going to do? Well, they'll try and break down the wall, but the issue is trebuchets only target one point, like say this point here. If they break it down, no difference is made, because the moat exists and you can't move past the moat, at which point it might kill a few of our colonists, but we do have a way to circumnavigate that. We can easily begin the process of simply moving everyone to live underground like sweaty mole men, which is exactly what we're doing. We can just put everyone's bedroom down here. We store all of our amazing food down here that's never going to rot away. It is incredible, and we have now become completely and utterly unstoppable. We've got a huge quantity of wine stored down here. We've got a gigantic quantity of beetroot. It's wonderful. Look at all this. Pickled vegetables. So many pickled vegetables. Ah, fantastic. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is how to completely and utterly destroy Going Medieval. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here today, then make sure to give the video a like, and heck, why not give this perfectly balanced technique a go yourself? Feel free to tweet me your amazing bases that you've constructed, because this is one heck of a beautiful game, especially when people get nice and creative. As always, if you've enjoyed what you've seen here today, you can even subscribe to see more of it. I know it would be fantastic if you could do that. And as always, a gigantic thank you to each and every one of our majestic patrons who make these fantastic videos all the more possible. Seriously, thank you very much, you lovely sausages. And if you sat there wondering what video you'd like to watch next, look no further than this one on screen now, hand chosen by myself to be perfect for you. Anyway, I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. Have an absolutely lovely day, and goodbye for now.